My interest in corsets goes back some 10 years when I was first getting into Victorian clothing. For whatever reason, most likely society's generally accepted stereotype, I was under the misgiving that corsets were more a figure accentuating, breathing restricting, movement inhibiting device rather than being any sort of day-to-day undergarment similar to a bra. I attempted to make a very rudimentary corset using thick gauge hanger wire instead of boning and a heavy duty upholstery Hessian type fabric instead of something prettier. It worked fairly well. It was very snug, but it wasn't the best. And certainly as corsets became more popular over the coming years, I ended up buying a couple of $10 underbust corsets on eBay. They were listed as waist training, which appealed to me because I was still under that illusion that I needed to cinch my waist in by 6 or 7 inches or so. But when I tried doing this and wearing the corset tight, I was unable to exist, and that was rather counterproductive. At the time I had 2 under 5s, so I was definitely very active with them, along with my regular household responsibilities and outdoors activities and so on. Movement was critical, and being unable to do something as simple as bend over the dishwasher to load and unload it spelled a rapid end to my corseting dreams, as misguided as they were. At some point in the last 6 months, I was introduced to the Symington collection, where I was absolutely ecstatic with the 109, I think, patterns that were freely available for viewing. It didn't take much more time from that point for me to encounter the Pretty Housemaid Corset. The Pretty Housemaid Corset was designed for women in domestic service, so housemaids, cleaners, cooks, who all moved and bent over and lifted things and were generally quite active. Perfect for me, I thought. But it wasn't quite that easy. The Symington collection didn't actually have the Pretty Housemaid pattern online in their collection. What made it even more frustrating was that most of the images I saw online of people calling their corset a pretty housemaid did most definitely not match the images I had viewed of the original. Some had 2-panel busts instead of 3. Some had the hip panel running only under the bust panels instead of the bust panels and the side panel. Cue more research. Jill Salen provides a background of this corset and a pattern that she drafted from an existing corset, I believe, in her book, Corsets, Historical Patterns and Techniques. But I spotted immediately that the third bust panel was oriented in a different direction to every single pattern that I had viewed in the Symington collection. Her pattern went from a top left to bottom right orientation, whereas all of the others in the Symington collection go from a top right to bottom left orientation. So I made the decision to find the closest matching patterns in the Symington collection and mix and match to basically remake my own Pretty Housemaid pattern. To work out the scale at which I needed to print out the pattern pieces, I used the available spoon busk sizes of the day, which I believe to have been 13 and 14 inches, as my basis. The busk being clearly visible on the pattern meant that I could use this as a reliable reference point. I ended up mixing and matching from patterns 23780 for the side and back and 23440 for the front and bust, and then I overlaid the hip panels on top of each other and found the average middle point and proceeded to cut them out and make my mock-up from there. Truth be told, I was shocked at just how well the mock-up fit, though retrospectively I probably could have done with lengthening the upper panels a bit. But it was very comfortable, and knowing that without any of the cording or boning in place I wasn't going to have an exact idea of the fit anyway, I figured I'd just cut the pieces slightly wider than I needed so that I could modify directly on the final before doing the final assembly. Phase 1 culminated with the mock-up being dismantled and adjustments, minor as they were, being noted on the pattern pieces before cutting a new set of pieces for the final. Please join me for Phase 2, where I overthink and over-agonize the making of one half of my Pretty Housemaid corset.